Hey there, thanks for turning down my road. If this is your first time here, my name's Carl. My little brother and I both work for local farmers full time, but we both also farm together with our cattle herd and our hay operation. Everybody's involved, from the smallest to the biggest. If you don't have the joy of farming yourself, I'd love to help you experience it through this channel. Whatever your background, you found the right place. This is Dodge Brothers Farm and Ranch. You guys always come up with the greatest video ideas, and the most asked question in the last couple of days has been, how do you convert the combine from corn to soybeans when you're ready to switch crops, or vice versa? So today we're getting ready to cut some beans. We were combining corn last night, so I'm going to switch the combine over so that it can combine soybeans instead of corn. I'll show you every step that I have to go through, but first I've got to get this combine cleaned off so we don't start a big fire today. Okay, I got the GoPro on my head. We're gonna get into super view mode, and I'm gonna walk around the combine and show you all the things that I have to switch from corn mode to soybean mode, and then we're gonna put the draper on and start cutting some beans. All right, I've got it in super view mode, just in case I don't happen to be looking at the exact right thing, so you can see everything that I see, hopefully. Let's start at the front of the combine and work our way towards the back. So as the crop comes in, it goes into the feeder house, through the accelerator and into the rotor. So we need to change the accelerator speed, which is right here. There's a diagram right here showing which pulleys you want to have the belts on for high speed and low speed. We want to switch the accelerator to high speed so that it really throws all the beans right back into the rotor and keeps it feeding uniformly. You want to run it on low speed for corn because you don't need to be throwing it in as hard with the corn, but with the soybeans you really need to throw them into that rotor hard to get them started. Okay, so we're gonna raise this lever up and drop it down, and that takes the tension off the pulley so that we can get back here and switch the belt onto the other pulley. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. I hope you can, but I'm taking the belt off the big pulley on the front and dropping it down onto the small pulley. And then in the back, you're not gonna be able to see, I can't even see what I'm doing. I have to feel it. You take the belt off the small pulley in the back and put it up onto the large pulley. And so now you kind of can look in there, make sure that you've got the belts down in the ribs, because it's a 3-rib belt and the pulleys have grooves for those ribs to go into. So we've got the pulley aligned. We push this lever back up and we've got tension on our belt again. All right, moving towards the rear of the machine. This setting is pretty obvious right here. I've got it on corn and I want to flip it up to small grains. So I just pull this lock out, turn the lever forward. So what this is a deflector that sticks down to keep the chopper from kicking corn cobs back into the sieves. As those cobs come flying back into the sieves, it can bend the little fingers up on the sieves. And so when you've got it in corn mode, the deflector is hanging straight down, blocking the cobs from throwing back into the sieves. Then when you've got it in small grain mode, it pulls that deflector up and out of the way so you can get better flow into the chopper. Because when you're cutting beans, you're bringing everything through the combine, not just like when you're doing corn, you're only bringing the cobs and the kernels in. Okay, we need to speed the chopper up, and then we need to put the knives into the chopper, because right now the knives are pulled out. This combine is really easy to speed the chopper up. So it's in low gear right now. If you pull it halfway out, it's in neutral. We'll pull it all the way out. Now it's in high gear. That's all there is to it for speeding the chopper up. Now if you look underneath the chopper, see these knives right here all in a row? They are pulled out of the chopper right now because we don't need to really shred all the corn fodder that comes out. We just kind of need to beat it up and throw it out. So you can see it's in corn mode right now. So if we loosen this lock and then pull the lever down, it pushes the knives up into the chopper. And now it can finally shred all that soybean residue. Okay, tighten that up. Now all that's left to do is change the rotor speed. So right here on the rotor gearbox, there is a speed selector. It's in first gear right now. So if I pull it out, one, that's in neutral. And sometimes you have to rotate the rotor just a little bit by hand, there you go, to get it to drop into second gear. We're gonna be running our rotor speed approximately 650 rotations per minute. And when we're doing corn, we're only running 300 to 340 rotations per minute. There is a variable speed drive on the rotor, so you can finely tune the speed from the cab, but you do need to switch into the higher gear so that you have a higher speed range for combining soybeans. We have to move to a different field before I get the other header hooked on, so I'm not gonna unhook this until we get there. By far one of the most dangerous parts of harvest is moving from one field to the other. Being out on the road with this big equipment just puts you at risk. Other motorists aren't always used to it and don't always know how to react and what to do when they get behind somebody going 20 miles an hour in something this big. So just be very patient. If you got to duck into a driveway to let somebody go by, it's definitely worth the extra time. Okay, we're gonna set the head down right here. So just open this shield to make it easier to get a hold of the PTO shaft. And there's a hanger right here on the header for the PTO shaft to keep it off the ground. This is the header and this is the combine feeder house. These little pins are pushed through to lock the header in. So as soon as we pull this button out and raise this lever up to unhook the hydraulics, you see those pins have retracted now, so we can set the header down. So all of the hydraulics and all the electronics are contained in this one block. There's a storage location right here on the header for that. So we'll just get up in the combine and set it down. So we try to find a nice level place on the ground to set it. And our feeder house is capable of tilting, like kind of like a bucket on a skid loader. So when I set it down, I like to tilt it forward just a little bit to make sure we're going to get out of it easily. And then as I'm backing out, you can see how those hooks work on the top to pick the head up. So now we'll go hook onto the draper and get ready to do some beans. One thing you got to remember as you're going down the road with no header on, the combine itself is extremely wide. So you got to be mindful of that. You can easily forget how wide the combine is if you don't have a header out front to gauge that when you're going down the road. But this thing is still probably 18 to almost 20 feet wide. It's not quite 20 feet wide, but it's close. Okay, before I hook onto the header, I'm going to go ahead and switch the internal settings of the combine over for beans. The first thing I want to do before I forget is slow down the feeder house speed, because that is the same drive shaft that operates the head, and I don't want to operate that draper too fast when I first start it up. So engage the separator, engage the feeder house, and you might be able to see that pulley spinning down there. You can see that the belt is recessed into the pulley. I don't know if you can see it or not, but all I have to do is push the reel lower button as I've got that running, and you can see it squeezes the pulley together and runs that belt all the way out to the end of the pulley, and that's how it slows it down. Okay, then I'm going to throttle all the way up so that I can check my rotor speed. It's a little faster than I want. It's at 710 right now, so I just push the rotor speed button. I'm going to drop it down to about 650 to begin with, or maybe 660. Okay, and the other settings I don't need the separator running to be able to change. I want to run the concave down. It's at 30 right now. I want to run it down to, maybe we'll start at about 8 or 9. We're having to run it fairly closed this year. I think I'm going to start at 8. We'll see how that works. And then beans are a little bit smaller than corn, so I always start with the sieve just a little bit further closed than I would on corn. So I'll get to the sieve. It's at 8 right now. I'm gonna put it down to 5. And we'll just see how that goes when we start out. We also need to get into the menu here and switch to corn. So we go to work setup. Sorry, switch from corn to soybeans. So we're gonna delete corn from the work setup. We're gonna scroll down to soybeans. Okay. Okay. Very good. And then the combine will recognize the header when we attach it. So I'm gonna get out and I need to take the ratchet straps loose that are holding the header down to the trailer, and then we'll pick it up. Here's the moment we've all been waiting for. We're gonna pick up the draper and we'll see how good of a job I did at lining up to it. I don't think I'm quite right. I might have to move over to the right just a little bit. Yeah, I'm not far off. Pretty close. Like I say, I like to keep the feeder house tilted forward when I'm getting ready to pick up the header, so that I make sure it gets a good positive grip on it. All right, I'm lined up properly. So I'm gonna make sure I'm all the way in. Now I'll start to tilt it back just a little bit as I'm lifting it. There we go. Up, up, and away. So now I'm just gonna back up a little bit and we will get out and connect the power takeoff shaft, and we'll connect the hydraulic coupler, and we'll be ready to cut some beans. I always keep a can of brake cleaner in the combine because it works really good to clean off that hydraulic block. Good.
How did the prices turn out?
178.
178.
Alrighty. It has recognized that we picked up the draper, so we need to update the track spacing from 20 feet to 34.5. So we'll do that. Everything else should be ready to go. Trying to figure out where the other guy is. I don't want to. You always want to be careful and make sure you know where everybody is when you're about to start the combine up, because you don't want somebody to be in a bad position. I just remembered I need to hook the iPad up, so let's do that. There we go. Get it plugged in. Get our field selected here. Connolly East. All right. 2 9s, long season beans.
Oh, they're 2 9s.
Yeah.
Wow.
I hope they're good.
Who knows? Gotta get them, whatever they are.
That's right. Now these end rows are a different hybrid. They're the same one from that was over at Sharon's. 12%, 12.2.
Lovely drive-by.
You know, it's just absolutely amazing how easy they've made it to convert these modern combines from one crop to another. When I was a kid, we had a John Deere 7700, and it would take, you know, a third of a day to switch. You had to take some chains off to connect the power drive shafts to the head. You had to get underneath and take a bunch of bolts out to take the head off of the feeder house. And then converting the rest of the combine over was not nearly that easy. And the older combines than that, you even had to remove the feeder house. The older guys say that it was a whole day project. There was no way you were ever gonna combine 2 different crops in the same day. So, pretty cool stuff. I'm glad they've made it easier. Everything just keeps getting better and better, but it keeps getting more expensive. I hope you've enjoyed this little video today, and I hope you tune in next time to see how the beans go and to find out if we did a good thing by rolling our beans in the spring, or if we would have been better off not spending the money on it. We'll do a side-by-side comparison of rolled beans and non-rolled beans in the next video. Thanks for riding along. I'll see you next time.